There he is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you away.
Put me away. That's
put
rude.
you. Just gonna. That's what I say to everyone. I'm just going to put you. What do you want me to say? Just I don't know. Hide you.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess hide me away from the world.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Backstory. You know the drill by now. It's a talk show where I'm inviting other comic-based YouTubers onto the show to have a chat and find out what makes them tick. We're gonna break and shed light on the stereotype of comic books and the readers themselves and dive into their heads. And today I'm going to be talking to a very lovely man, very handsome man. It is Tom from Not Quite Mint.
What's up, mate? You all right?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Mustn't grumble too much. That's what the old people say, isn't it? Mustn't grumble too much. Nothing to complain about.
But for you, you've told me a word and it's a wibble.
Yeah, wibble. That's what I do. If I carry on too much, I start just gibbering away. Like, Tom, stop wibbling, mate.
Yeah. Next question. Question. I think my equivalent and a lot of other people's equivalents would be waffling.
Yeah, basically the same thing. But it comes from my father-in-law. Once he's had a couple of beers, he tends to like elaborate on what he's talking about, and we then nicknamed him the Wibbler, and then it became anything after that. If you start chatting away, you're just a wibbler.
Oh, he's wibbling. He's
off again. He's just having a bit of a wibble to himself.
So, but great to have you on. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate.
Lovely to see you. No problem. But I was just thinking, we've interacted a few times.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you some views.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time we interacted was when you put up a book on Instagram.
Ah, yes.
And I believe you've got it with you.
I do.
And that is God of War issue 1 from what year is it? 2010?
I want to say earlier. I want to say like 2009, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, if you look where it says issue 1, does it say underneath there? Does on mine?
Oh yes, it does.
Yeah. May 2010. Right. So you've got that one, and that's cover A of God of War issue 1 from Wildstorm. Yeah,
DC job, isn't it?
And I've got cover B.
I like cover B. I like the black and white. I like the fact
I like yours.
Trade.
Yeah, all right. You can just sell it. You can just give it to me if you want. That's fine. I'll keep both then. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, we kind of
in the post, mate.
Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah, so we kind of we bonded a little bit maybe over these covers.
That's how the kids are calling it these days.
We're bonding, and then you joined in at the end of Charlie's stream.
I did
to talk about 7 Secrets, didn't you? And it was the Killer Geeky Guy Comics on the Killer Comic Show, and you joined in. Were you in bed?
Well, yeah, kind of. I'm one of these people. Like, as soon as I get home from work, even if it's like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I have a bath. I'm in my pajamas. That's it. Job done. Gay over. So I literally had got my pajamas on. I'd not done my hair, and I was like, right, yeah. Charlie put his thing up. I was like, oh, do you know what? I am going to jump in. Because I'm the only one in the chat anyway. I might as well jump in and have a chat with you properly.
Yeah, why not? But that was good. That was the first time. So the first time we spoke was to do with this, with God of War. But the first time we spoke was on that. And we kind of messaged a little bit back and forth here and there, commenting on stuff. And I just had to have you on. You seem like a proper laugh and a proper wibbler.
A proper wibbler, yeah.
And it'd be nice.
A proper laugh and a proper wibbler. You don't know yet, so.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that's the whole point of this. I will get to know you.
At the end of this video, it'll be like, God, why the
God, it's been 3 hours.
God, blimey.
Oh, God. Oh, my phone's ringing. I've got to go.
Yeah. Someone at the doorway.
Okay, let's get going. Is it? So
cool,
okay, we're gonna start the ball rolling. I'm just gonna get into it. Okay, so really simple, really easy. Tom, can you tell me why do you like comics? What does it for you?
Well, in all fairness, why would you not like comic books?
I agree.
For me, when I was a kid, I got a lot of abuse for being quite fat. I was quite a large lad. So for me, I found that comic books were my release from reality. So
escape.
Yeah, it's kind of my escapism. Like, I always liked reading anyway, but as soon as I was introduced to comic books and the fact that there's pictures and drawings, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And always liking artwork, I was like, yeah, kind of comic books kind of just drew me in. But the reason I love comic books is just because they're so cool, man. I mean, there's just such a rich kind of storytelling ability with comic books. It's like you can tell a story from any different angle. You can tell stories that people don't like, and you can tell stories that people do like, and it's really nice. And I like the fact it's so diverse in that kind of sense. It's never not always been that way.
No,
but it's I mean, I think the most recent stuff is so much better than the old school stuff because they're able to push the boundaries slightly. But I mean, comic books are amazing. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't like comic books, but I mean, I don't know about you, but when I was at school, I mean, I got bullied for being fat, but I also got bullied because I liked comic books. And it's now not even like on people's radar. It's like, oh yeah, I like Spider-Man. Oh yeah, Spider-Man's cool. Whereas if I said that when I was 10, I'd have got my ass kicked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was a rugby player, and I was like, you know, I'd had Spider-Man pants on once, and they literally took them off and put them in the shredder because that's how mean they were. It's like, God.
I'm sorry for laughing.
It's fine, mate.
I mean, I hope you can laugh now.
I can laugh now, mate. I can look back on it and be like, yeah, I kind of probably deserved it, to be fair. I was one of those kids where, because I was big, I overcompensated for everything else. So I was the joker, I was the idiot, I was the one that everyone got annoyed with just because I got bullied. And I just thought I would overcompensate in those kind of areas. But yeah. And I've had a few things happen to me when I was younger with my mom and stuff. So comic books were always my kind of go-to to get me away from reality. And that, I think, is why I love comic books so much. And that's kind of drew me in.
Yeah.
And other things.
And other things. So what was it then? What were you reading at that point to escape?
So for me, I never really read any of the American comics, like Spider-Man, X-Men, all that kind of stuff completely passed me by when I was a kid. But when I was growing up, my mom and dad parted and my mom kind of spoiled me a little bit. And I ended up getting the Action Man. Do you remember Action Man with the scar?
Yes, I had loads of Action Man.
With his yin and yang tattoo, whatever it was. So I had literally as many Action Men as I could count. Like it was insane. But every time I got one, I had to elaborately come up with the stories. And then my mom was like, "Oh, there's a comic book at on the shelves for Action Man. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Yes." I ended up reading Action Man as a comic, and that kind of got me into comic books in artwork and stuff. And then I read Sonic. I got into I got Star Wars as well, like some of the original Star Wars UK magazines.
Okay.
And I've always been a humongous Transformer fan since I've literally left the womb. I've been a Transformer fan. It's ridiculous. I had
you rolling out.
Yeah, literally rolled out. I was like, I'm transform and trying to kind of throw myself into something. But yeah, I had some UK Transformer comics, but I didn't really get into comic books until much later in my life. When I was at primary school, when I met a lad called Stephen Sarche, and he introduced me to Spawn. And that was my first ever American comic, and I was only about 12.
Okay.
So probably not a good time to read Spawn, really, with what's in it.
I mean, I've never read it, but I understand what can happen in it.
Yeah.
What issue was that then? Like around, don't give me the exact one if you don't know, but...
Well, yeah, no, I do. And we've got another question up later. I will show it to you. But it was the Spawn Bible was the first first American comic book I ever had. My mom bought me. I still have it now. Wow. But it completely started my entire career because I wanted to write my own Spawn Bible about my own characters. And it's basically a bio. It's just a character drawn and then a little bio about them. But I loved it so much. It has been torn apart. It has been ripped apart. It's got brand new staples. It's been sellotaped together. It's been well loved because I actually took it apart and put my own pages in.
Wow. Well, okay. I want to rewind a little bit. So
go for it.
It was the art that drew you to comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what about that art? Like, what was it about art? So why was it art over the writing?
I think mainly I'm severely dyslexic, and I didn't know I was dyslexic until I went to university. So about the age of 20. So I suffered a long time with reading and writing, like trying to get my head around it. So for me, the first thing I see is something visual and I'm drawn in. And I think because of a lot of comic books are drawn so you can read the story without reading the dialogue,
the
actual like what's going on, you can kind of put it together in your brain. I think that's what's always drawn me to comic books, is the fact that I don't necessarily have to read it. I kind of can just, I am reading it, but as a kind of like pictures. Because animation is my degree. I did an animation degree, so animation is kind of my thing.
Yeah.
So like kind of cave paintings, I suppose, that's kind of how I see comic books. It's like they're telling a story.
Yeah.
Just the artwork itself.
Nice. I spoke to, who was it? Oh, I think it was Luke, Hydra Collectibles, and he told me that there was a G.I. Joe issue that is purely panels. No, it's the silent issue. It's called.
With
no speech.
Storm Shadow.
I have no idea what it's. I don't know what it's about, but all he told me, it's the silent issue, and there's no writing in it at all, and it's just art. I think that's really cool concept. Have you read that? Or
I haven't read it. I have got it though. It's one of those ones I need to look at. But it happened to me a few years ago. There was a I'm trying to think what it is, book that I had that had it in. I think it might have been a Transformer comic that they wrote the entire thing with no dialogue. So for me, I was like really much easier for me to read because I had nothing else to. I didn't have to read anything. It was just literally panel. But it was really beautiful. And then a friend of mine who actually works for IDW, Jack Lawrence, he did the same thing in one of their final issues where two of the characters have become kind of like in a relationship, and they then kind of get separated and then they come back together. And he doesn't use any dialogue in the last two panels where they come together. They don't have faces, they don't have any expressions, but for some reason in those last 2 pages, you're bawling your eyes out because of the way he's drawn it. And it's like the emotion you get from this kind of this area.
That's it.
I mean, it's like,
that's so
now
impressive.
it's about walking in the shops, you just literally got that area.
Yeah, wow. That's really impressive for art to make you feel like that, and like for it to be in a story. And I think that is really impressive. But who were you talking about from IDW then?
Jack Lawrence. He did years ago. He did lions, bears, and tigers.
Okay.
And then he did a run on Transformers Transformers Lost Light, and he's now the current artist on Sonic. But he's a really good friend of mine.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're friends with him.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Is that from like university or something? Or
No, I actually I met Jack through literally kind of like gooing over his artwork. I contacted him on Twitter and he did be a commission piece. And then he actually turned up at a Transformer convention, and me and him then become very good friends. And it's kind of one of those things, like he's one of my favorite artists and he's now my friend. He did a commission piece for me for my kind of wedding. So like for my wedding, I did he did this art piece for me to ask my groomsmen to be my groomsmen in like Justice League issue 1, you know, when they're all like kind of backing up. He did
like
that.
Queen or something. Like a behemoth.
A little bit like that. Yeah, I think it's Justice League of Society issue 1. It's just a replica of that. So he did a homage cover of that. Me at the front, and then my groomsmen going back behind me. And it's like, "Will you be my groomsman?" sort of thing.
That is so cool.
If you have a look back about some of our old Not Quite Mint videos, there's a couple of art shots of me and Richton as caricatures. They're Jack Lawrence's artwork from that piece.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty cool. He's cool. He's a cool man.
That is cool. And before we started recording, you were telling me that you're also friends, and I'm insanely jealous. You're friends with Dan Mora.
I am.
How did that happen?
Same situation, mate. I messaged him and stuff, and I actually met him at one of the Comic Cons last year. So and then I had a pint with him, and actually we now just swap messages about dogs and stuff.
And it's just that, you know, like it's these people, these artists, and they're, you know, like people love the stuff they do, and they will buy books purely because these artists or these writers have been involved. And, you know, like in the comic community, they're basically celebrity. and then for you to say, "Oh, we just messaged about dogs. It's fine."
Yeah.
That's really like, at the end of the day, they are just people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, mate. This is this story that I've only ever told once, I think.
Ooh.
Me and my friend Sid, we used to go to Comic Cons all the time. We used to go to nice Comic Con and stuff. When I first met Simon Thurman, who is one of my biggest heroes because he wrote the original Transformer run for the UK stuff, he's incredible. He's a really nice guy. I met him, had a few pints with him. We actually exchanged phone numbers. We got really pally at the Transformer convention. I then met him a week later, completely hungover at Nice Comic Con. I'd literally just dropped my bat. I mean, I'd farted terribly. He came up behind me. He went, nice to see you, Tom, and then turned around and walked off. And I never saw him again for the whole convention. And it was horrible because then I didn't know what to say if I saw him. Like apologize or just kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about, Simon.
Yeah.
I don't know what your problem is. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Oh my god! So, do you not keep in contact with him anymore?
Oh no, we do now. It was one of those things where we didn't know. I didn't cross him again at that Comic Con at Nice. And then I saw him the following year at TF Nation, and I kind of just tried not to mention it and just bought him a drink, and he didn't mention it. So I kind of think he either didn't know I'd done anything, or the fact that he was chopping his lips and he could taste it was a little like, yeah, okay.
Oh my god.
Poor bloke.
Oh my god.
But I've been really lucky with the comic conventions that I've been to. I've been really lucky to meet very nice people because I've gone as an artist myself. Yeah. You tend to hang out with these guys after the show. So like I've actually hanged out with Danny Cakes, which is insane. And Estad Ribic is another one that I've had a chance to hang out with. I can't call them friends because I've only shared a pipe with them. Simon Bisley I can call a friend though. You know who's Simon Bisley? So Bisley did a lot of old school art for DC. So he does like a lot of painted artwork. It's really cool. He does an amazing Raphael. I think it's on, I want to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Raphael from back in the day in the Mirage comics. He did a really cool cover for it. He's really cool. And then there's like James Roberts. I'm friends with him. He's a writer. Do you know who Nick Roach is? Have you ever heard of Nick Roach?
No, sorry.
Another one, again, from the Transformer conventions, because at the Transformer conventions, it's a little bit smaller than your normal conventions. Mm-hmm. So you all tend to, like, resonate to each other in the bar and you just chat away and you get absolutely hammered with each other and then you all tell each other your secrets and stuff.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Like, get in a booth at the Comic Cons and just pretending you're an artist so you can meet these people. Donny Cates has one of my art prints in his house.
Wow.
And so does Ray Park.
All these people, you just listen all these names now, and I just
have no idea. I'm just name dropping like an absolute.
I know. This guy, I know this guy, I know this guy, I know this guy. He's cool. She's cool. He's cool.
I don't normally get this with him. I don't normally get to geek out and talk about it, to be honest. Because like it annoys me.
This is the point. You know, you're more than welcome to talk about whatever you want. But so, okay, I'm a fan of Transformers, but I've never read any Transformers books.
Okay.
And the reason why is like the first time I ever saw Transformers was when I was a child on like cartoons and like Beast Wars. I think that was one of the first Transformers. It's awesome. And it was so cool watching them transform, and in the films it's done really well. But I can't imagine how that would like transfer over into a panel. Like, how does that work? Is it, when they transform,
I've never noticed. I've never really paid much attention to how they transform. They do it really well, but I think all the old school books that, like, if you look at the Dreamwave stuff and some of the Marvel UK stuff, it is quite kind of hard to get your head around. That's, like you said, the whole transforming thing. Like, you're waiting for them to transform. You just want to battle and stuff. But the IDW stuff that they've done in the last few years, not so much the most recent run, but the More Than Meets the Eye, the Lost Light run, and the Transformers run, they were really good because they kind of made you fall in love with the characters rather than their their alternative modes. So you get to fall in love with like the actual personalities of the characters. So you actually don't care if they don't transform at all. It kind of becomes like a secondary thing.
Right.
Especially in Lost Light and More Than Meets the Eye, because Rodimus Prime basically becomes the leader, and he takes them all off on his space shuttle to go and find these knights of Cybertron. And he ends up like, they hate him at the start. His whole crew hate him because he's become this big I am. And he does like these little cool badges. He's like, everyone gets a badge if you're really good. And then later on in the story, he slowly gets their respect. But throughout the whole story, you don't even notice the fact that nobody's transformed in about 15 issues. It's just a case of they're just kind of talking to each other. They go through a lot of like crap with each other. It's really well written. It's written by James Roberts. It's absolutely insane.
Another mate.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah.
Just drop that one in there, yeah.
Another friend.
Just drop the link below.
He's probably watching now,
I don't think he writes anything now. I think he finished Transformers and Lost Light and then was like, do you know what, I'm done. I don't want to write anymore.
Oh, wow. Just like that.
Yeah. I honestly think if you get a chance to read the first volume of More Than Meets the Eye, try and not to worry too much about knowing who's who, because it does explain it. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
He basically, I mean, I'm going off on a bit of a wibble now, but basically in Transformers, Hasbro, their main Transformer run had Optimus Prime, Megatron, all the normals in it, but James Roberts was allowed to run riot with his title, so he could have any character he wanted as long as they weren't toys and as long as they weren't kind of like anything popular. So he had a lot of people that weren't popular and people that weren't toys, like characters you've never heard of that he just plucked out of Generation 1 or Generation 2 that he brought in, that you then kind of, oh, you know what, this character's pretty cool. And there's so many deaths, it's ridiculous. It's almost like Game of Thrones. Yeah,